Ain't looking good for Beverly Hills Cop 4. Or is it 44? I don't know. I lost count. You know, Eddie Murphy back on the touring circuit. And you almost feel like Eddie's almost like AI at this stage, like they got a chip in him or something, because it sounds like and looks like him, and he taking good care of himself and all that. We're gonna act like 30 years ago Beverly Hills Cop 3 never existed. That was dreadful. Except I did like that Terrence Trent D'Arby song that he did with Jamie Lewis, but that was horrible. He tried to multilingual it. It felt generic. It almost felt like that cop movie that Nick Cannon did, and we don't talk about Nick Cannon and Eddie Murphy in the same sentence for acting, but it kind of felt like a yeah. You know, you want to give Eddie Murphy his flowers, one of the greatest to ever do, especially for black actors. He's a standard. Him and Denzel Washington are like standards of the last 40 years. Then you can decide who you want to put on that mountain of the last 40 years. You might throw Will Smith on there. Those three you can make a case for. And then the next one is debatable. I mean, you can say Wesley Snipes or you can say, it depends. Whoever you felt. Morgan Freeman, I don't know, you know. But you can definitely say Denzel, Eddie, Will, and don't even things. They've been, you know, consistent. The problem is you can try to go back in time. It's never the same. You know, when he was a phenomenal comic timing. Problem with these kind of regurgitating these type of roles is that times change, philosophies change, the one-liners they trying to get a cheap laugh. They're trying to modernize it. You're trying to recapture something that you just can't possibly do. You can't, you know. Even with the lace front and the it's just not the timing. He was younger, hungrier, and it was a different day and time. I can't even begin to tell you what that was like to watch that movie back in the day. Because it was, if you were a kid back then and it was an R-rated movie, you was trying to see anything with Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was like Richard Pryor. You was trying to sneak it in, you know. It's kind of like how you try to sneak in a Rick James record or a Prince record. You want to hear all of what was said, you know. So this is gonna be flat. It it's just his daughter was cool. You know, you got some of the old crew back, but it's just not the same. You listen for the Axel Foley song. You're looking for like the bad guy, the goods. You know, the script is so formula. And Eddie talks like Eddie, but Eddie been coasting for so long. And Shrek is just as big in his catalog as anything he's done. I'll be honest with you. Last thing that he did that knocked my socks off was Bowfinger with him and Steve Martin. That's the last thing he did that I was like, whoa. Because Coming to America 2 was garbage. Dolomite was like a joke because his aesthetics was nothing like Rudy Ray Moore. Eddie was down and had slang and catchy, but it was for a certain audience. And you see that when you watch how these films unload and how they, you know, you want to root for him, because he represents a golden era. He was the last of his kind. And what I mean by that, he was the last black dynamic crossover that had crazy appeal. There have been others like Martin Lawrence. They tried it with Chris Rock, it didn't work. Chris Tucker, to what you get with Kevin Hart. Yeah, as big as Kevin Hart is, it don't hit like Eddie. It don't hit like none of them have hit like Eddie. They tried. And that's why he gets revered more. Chappelle on stage more, but it's not like Eddie. Eddie had a crazy appeal, which was like a pop singer. Eddie was like the closest thing into comedy of a Michael Jackson type, but I still got Richard Pryor as the king of it. But just saying, as far as the ooh, whoa. But a lot of the stuff kind of wore off. And this movie gets old really quick with tired lines and cliche things. So it's not something that I would break your neck. You wait for it on video or bootleg or maybe somebody to hook it up on their phone. It ain't that memorable. But I know they'll go back to the drawing board. I hope they don't wait another 30 years for Beverly Hills Cop 5. But the thing is, his best days have been behind him. The Shrek thing is cool. Bowfinger was cool. You know, Boomerang then gotten a pass over time, and he's had some stuff that's worked. But I think he missed out on doing that Dr. King or that kind of movie that could have really endeared him to. May have been what we call a cult following film, but it would be something that would have really united his talents more and given him more of a different bridge than what he's gotten, because it could have been even more. But this ain't it. We love the jacket, the Axel Foley theme, and all that. But the film is predictable and it's punched in. It's just using more modernization, a lot of vulgarity and a lot of violence, a lot of the cliches, which, to be honest with you, were they really that great to begin with? He was such a dynamic, charismatic, gregarious personality that sometimes the shortcomings of it you overlook because that it factor. And see, when people got that it, if you eat meat, they can make you think a bologna sandwich tastes like a steak sandwich, like a New York prime, if you're into that. Or if you're a vegetarian, vegan like myself, they can make you think that um, a tofu salad is like a full course meal in a blender, like it's a smoothie all combined without seasoning and flavor. That's the power of having that kind of once in a lifetime aura and personality. Anyway, though, please hit like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for another. And I do root for him to do something, but like when he did that cliche, guess who's coming, the denim mess with that he had with Neil Long and all that mess, it has not been good with him coming back in full-fledged Eddie. To be honest with you, the only thing that would almost bring Eddie back would be a stand-up. That's about it. These attempts at trying to recapture this thing, and but you tell me what you think. All right, I'm out. Peace.